Hello everyone and welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott and we are here to dive into a big preview weekend for Elimination Chamber 2025. Of course, coming to you from Toronto. I'm not in Toronto, but I'm hoping to bring you the energy and excitement surrounding this PLE as we head into it. So we'll do that right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, yeah, so once again, welcome back to the channel, guys. It is a big weekend in WWE because, of course, it is the final stop on the road to WrestleMania. If you're talking PLEs, at least, got a few weekly shows to go before then. But, yeah, big talking points going into this PLE, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot coming out of it as well. We're going to be breaking down each and every one of the matches on this stream and talking predictions and things like that as well. But yeah, a really exciting show to predict. It's not a very big card. There's only 4 matches. We'll go through them, as I say, one by one in just a moment. But there's a lot to talk about because there are so many things that could happen on this card. So let's get into it. Before we do that, though, I'm going to hand over to my predictions from earlier this week. Chamber Toronto predictions. Now, we're going to start out with a pretty tough one, in my opinion. That is the women's Elimination Chamber match. Now, this match features Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, and Bayley. Now, 2 of those, Bianca and Naomi, I feel are going to be involved with the Jade Cargill situation very soon, maybe even at the Chamber. So I'm excluding them. We've just seen Alexa come back, of course. I'm not sure if they're ready to put her in the kind of women's main event of WrestleMania. So I'm not sure about that. Roxanne's only just come onto the main roster. Not sure about that. And then you've got Liv Morgan, who going back into a Rhea Ripley storyline is not what I want to see at the moment. And she's only just won a tag title herself, so I don't see that happening. So it kind of does leave Bayley, which doesn't make a lot of sense either. So I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards Roxanne Perez once again. I do feel like she might just have the rocket strapped to her and go straight into a big picture on the main roster. The thing is, though, I'm not sure if they're ready to do something like that with her. So again, I'm finding this one really tough, I've got to be honest. Not a lot makes sense. I mean, Alexa versus Rhea Ripley would be a cool storyline, but then if they're bringing in the White Six, I don't know if the kind of alternative babyface figure of Rhea Ripley is the one to go up against here. Roxanne Perez, let's just go with that.
Women's Elimination Chamber. Look, I think there's a lot going on story-wise with this. I actually think the people that attacked Jade Cargill are not the people that we think attacked Jade Cargill, or at least one of them. And I think we're going to find this out at Elimination Chamber. So by process of elimination, that means there's no Naomi win, there's no Bianca Belair win. In fact, I think it was one of those, hoping that it actually was Bianca, because I think that would be a great transition for her to go to a heel. So with that being said, it only leaves a couple of the women. Alexa coming back, I think she's doing something with the Wyatt Six, so we'll kind of take her away from it. Potentially it could be Bayley, but I think she's got still the thing, like the feud building through it from NXT. So I actually believe it's going to be Liv Morgan.
Hey, this is Dan, and these are my predictions for WWE Elimination Chamber 2025. First up, we have the Women's Elimination Chamber featuring Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, and Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, and Roxanne Perez. The winner of this match will seemingly go on to WrestleMania to take on Rhea Bloody Ripley for the WWE Women's World Championship. Now, I think this is probably a 2-horse race, really. I think it's either Bianca Belair or Liv Morgan. I'm gonna go Bianca, I think. I think there's gonna be more to it with the whole Jade Cargill storyline, but it could potentially lead to Jade coming back and fighting Naomi at WrestleMania. So I'm gonna go Bianca Belair to win this one.
Next up is the unsanctioned match between two best friends, now enemies, once again, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Now, this is going to WrestleMania, surely, right? It has to. Neither of these guys have a storyline as far as the world title picture goes, which I think both could argue that they deserve. So therefore, I think the kind of consolation prize is to have a big moment between the two friends on the grandest stage of them all. So for that reason, I do think we're getting a finish that leads towards that. And I think that kind of means that Kevin Owens has to win so that Sami can try and get payback at WrestleMania in probably a Hell in a Cell or something like that. So for me, I think this is either going to be a Kevin Owens win or maybe even no contest. Let's say no contest.
Next we have Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens in the unsanctioned match. I don't mind these kind of matches. I think personally this should main event, obviously being where it is as well. Whose side do I pick? Personally, I'd go with Kevin Owens. I think everything that Kevin has said, weirdly, has been actually correct, and he's made that point very true. Every single time he said something, he's given a fact about it, and Kevin Owens hasn't lied once. I do think the problem here is Cody Rhodes. And again, Sami not interfering, he wasn't teaming either. However, with Sami not interfering and not siding with either, technically to Kevin Owens makes it seem like he sided with Cody. And again, I agree. So I think that I'm happy to see this match happen. So, getting to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn go at it in any kind of match, they're always going to deliver. They could have match of the night. Potentially they can have match of the year. They have that in them to do that. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going Kevin Owens.
Next up, we have the unsanctioned match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think there's only one way this one has to go, I think it's going to be Sami Zayn to win, but I think this is going to also lead to the two of the men facing off at WrestleMania.
Tiffy and Trishy time versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Look, for this one, it's all about Charlotte, right? Charlotte Flair is linked with Tiffany as far as WrestleMania goes, so I feel like she's going to play a hand here at some point. But I've got a weird feeling that Trish is going to turn heel. I've got this idea of a 3 generations match at WrestleMania, and I feel like Trish coming back might be so that she can turn heel once again. She seems to have a great time playing that role last time round. I really enjoyed it, and I got a feeling they're going to do it again. So I feel like Trish might be turning on Tiffany. With that in mind, it feels like that team more likely would lose when that happens. I'm not 100% sure about that though, because they've just released merch as well. But I don't know, just got a feeling Trish's going to turn heel in her hometown. Candice and Nia to win.
Tiffy and Trish versus Nia and Candice. I'll make this one short and sweet, really. I like Tiffy. I'm not a big fan of Trish. I like Nia, and I'm a fan of Candice as well. So it kind of weighs it out as like 2-1, I guess, on siding. Story-wise, I don't know which way they're going to go. Last time Trish was kind of around, she was a heel, and now she comes back again, and the crowd are looking at her as she's a face. Again, the same issue that we've had with The Rock. It's quite frustrating. I will try and bring this point up and make it a discussion on our next podcast. So guys, please tune in for that. But back to this, I'm going Nia and Candice.
We then move into a tag team match featuring Trish Stratus and WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton taking on the team of Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Now, I wouldn't bet against a Charlotte Flair interference in this one, but I do think that Tiffy and Trish are coming out of this one in Trish's hometown of Toronto with the victory.
And now moving into the men's Elimination Chamber match. We've got Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Logan Paul, and John Cena. What a stacked field. Now, this is another one that's kind of hard to predict, mainly because of what's been going on recently with The Rock and Cody Rhodes. Now, that's going to have some sort of progression, we'd imagine, at Elimination Chamber anyway, and that feels like it will factor into this match. Now, whether or not that segment happens before this match or after this match might change things as well, but there are so many different storylines and possible opportunities here for WWE to run with. So I think this one again is another hard one to pick. I was leaning towards John Cena, I was leaning towards CM Punk, and the Cody thing changes that a little bit, but I got a feeling that CM Punk could be maybe even turning heel here. I'm going for a lot of heel turns and heels winning essentially on the show, it feels. But if CM Punk was to turn and to win and go into WrestleMania to face Cody Rhodes as, ironically, The Rock's buddy after Dwayne took up the headline spot before, it'd be quite an interesting story to tell. At the same time, where does that leave John Cena? That's quite tough. Where does it leave a lot of the guys in this match? I mean, you could even see Logan Paul and Punk going forwards in their own program. But if I had to pick right now, I'm just going to go with... who's going to face Cody Rhodes? Cody's not going to be a heel. He's not going to go down the Rock's path, surely. So therefore, he needs a strong heel. And it's got to be someone that the Rock aligns with. Maybe Drew? I don't know if they're ready for that. I just don't think they would have planned that before. I know things are changing, but that's quite drastic. You know what? I've talked myself into it. Drew deserves this spot. Drew McIntyre.
And finally, the men's chamber. Look, there's a lot of guys in there. I can say probably the person that we think 100% isn't going to win is Logan Paul. The rest, I would say, it's anyone's for the taking. I think this is probably the hardest one decision-wise. However, I think The Rock is going to screw someone, because I don't think Cody's going to sell his soul to the People's Champion. So maybe we're going to get someone else that's going to be involved, and they are going to be potentially the corporate champion, kind of what Rock was way back when. Look, it's going to be someone, and I think it's going to be someone that's earned it. So if Drew McIntyre does not win, we riot. Everyone stand with me on that. All right, cheers guys.
Then we move on to what I'm assuming is going to be the main event, which is the men's Elimination Chamber match. We are going to see John Cena, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, and Logan Paul, seemingly all battling it out to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. For me, it's got to be John Cena. I think all the rest of them have got a direction going into WrestleMania, except Big Match John.
All right, so there you have it. Those are our original predictions from earlier on this week. And you know what? After I did them, I was thinking, you know what? I think I might change some of them by the time we get to the weekend. But I think I'm doubling down on some of them at least. The Drew McIntyre one is something I really want to dive into on this stream. But got Gary in the house, says, yo, Scotty, just popping in, say hi. Hey, I'm at work, so can't stay long. Thanks for jumping in, mate. When's the Elimination Chamber? So it's Saturday night, midnight. So yeah, whether you're watching on this kickoff stream, or this, of course, is going to be replayed on the build-up hours before the PLE itself. Welcome in, and hope these streams over this weekend are going to get you hyped up for the show itself. Of course, you are watching at the moment the weekend kickoff show, but still to come as well. We are going to have a watch-along experience with WWE's kickoff show, and then, of course, the main portion of the build-up experience with the build-up show itself as well. But let's break down some of those predictions. As I say, the one I am most confident about now is the one that I was the most fearful of making at the time. You saw me make it there, guys. I talked myself into Drew McIntyre, right? And I feel more confident now. I'm starting to see more people say this. I saw my good friend Skillet, who's been on the channel a few times, did it on his podcast, the Kick It Out podcast. I saw Rob's prediction come in and be Drew McIntyre as well. And then since then, we've actually seen a lot of rumors going around, various sources essentially saying that apparently the plan at the moment is a Drew McIntyre win. Now, look, things can change, especially in the world of the WWE, and especially on the road to WrestleMania, and especially, I guess, when The Rock is involved, it seems as well. Although I do think a lot of that is playing up to character and story. Gary says, "Oh damn, I'm off work. I'll be able to watch it." Drew deserves so much more, but he doesn't suit heel. Look, Gary, I'm loving him as a heel. I got to be honest. I liked him as a babyface, but I think the heel gives him a new thing to do. You know, it's refreshed his character. There was a time a few years back where Drew's character was getting a little stale. Not really his fault. It needed to change, and he did change it, in my opinion. So I'm really enjoying what he's doing at the moment, and I think he really, really, really does deserve to be in a high-profile match at WrestleMania. The thing is, there's so much going on at the moment. There's a lot of people you could argue deserve that as well. But it looks like it could be Drew McIntyre. But what are your thoughts, guys? Again, I want to know in the comments who you think will be winning the men's chamber. But not just that. Of course, we're going to be breaking down the entire card here throughout this stream with the women's chamber, the women's tag team match as well, and also the unsanctioned match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Of course, happening Saturday night. But we are here to get you in the mood and hyped up on this Elimination Chamber weekend. Now, going back to my original predictions, as I say, I went for Drew. I wasn't quite sure, but now I'm really excited at the prospect that it could be Drew McIntyre. Let's move into some of the other ones that I already made as well. With the unsanctioned match, I said, look, I think it'll more likely if someone's going to win, in my opinion, it's going to be Kevin Owens so that Sami can chase him, as I said in that original prediction, into a rematch at WrestleMania, potentially in a Hell in a Cell or something like that. And again, I've seen other people say similar since, so it looks like I'm not the only one thinking that way. I'd be very shocked if it was a one and done, especially so close to WrestleMania when I can't see a path for either of these doing much else beyond that. I mean, it's not like they're in the number one contendership match tonight, on Chamber, is it? So this would make a lot of sense. In order for that to happen, again, Sami either, I feel, needs to be chasing Kevin for that victory, or a no contest, as I mentioned in my original prediction as well. Gary says, me personally, I think it's going to be CM Punk to win the men's Elimination Chamber. Yeah, that was one of my original predictions, was Punk. A lot of people saying Cena, but since the start of the year, or even since last year when we did our predictions for 2025 podcast, myself and some of the other guys on the channel were basically saying, it would be cool if Cena falls short time and time again, doesn't win the Rumble, doesn't win Chamber, and then what that means for WrestleMania, I don't know. Hearing a lot of rumors about Logan Paul, but look, come the end of this weekend, all this could mean nothing because John Cena could be heading to face Cody Rhodes, so it is an interesting one. I always do love how the Chamber creates these swerves on the road to WrestleMania, pun intended, I guess, on that one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and that's it. Looking at the men's match alone, there are so many things that could happen, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And of course, a big part of that is the whole Cody Rhodes situation, which we'll touch on in a moment as well. Of course, the final boss surely has a few things to say. Gary says, in WWE, kind of friends is a shame because Sami and KO tag team made so much sense. Yeah, they were great, weren't they? When they were working together as a team and won the tag titles a few years back off the Usos at WrestleMania. That was quite fun. But these are guys that are always going to be either facing each other or teaming with each other. So they've had a kind of intertwined story throughout their whole career. Gary also says Cena doesn't deserve it. They're strong words, Gary. And I think a lot of people would say because of his career, he does deserve it, but I just don't think it fits storyline. Here's my history as a Cena fan, right? I was a big Cena fan when he came in, like the Ruthless Aggression stuff, that was pretty cool. But when he went into Thuganomics, absolutely loved him. When he went Chain Gang and never lost, not so much a fan. And then, times like when the Nexus were, on the brink of becoming something special and he couldn't even wear their merch when he joined them. There was those kind of storylines where I really went out of favor for John Cena. But in recent years, the US, well, I say recent years, but then you got the things like US title challenge and all the things he did around that, his losing streak and whatever else. And then he's returned, I was there at Money in the Bank in London when he came back and I lost my mind like I was a little child, So I do appreciate seeing his work. But as I was saying on the Rumble coverage we did last month, if there weren't at least one time where I was angry that Cena won, it wouldn't feel like a proper Cena run. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be a good farewell, because I got to be honest, there were so many years where I was disappointed with John Cena winning matches, as people were with Roman a few years ago, as people sometimes get with Charlotte Flair as well. I don't want him. For that, I don't want him to win the Chamber, is what I'll say. I know some people will say he does deserve it, as Gary says he thinks he does. And I think he doesn't, just purely because there's so much more going on at the moment. I just don't think the John Cena's final WrestleMania match is enough. And him spending the whole year trying to win the title is enough, because he can do it at the end of the year. They didn't even create a PLE for him, as we mentioned on our streams again a few months back. There's not usually December PLEs these days. So a special goodbye to Cena in Boston or something like that would be quite fun, right? Gary says, you make fair points, Scott. You change my mind all the time. Thanks, man. I appreciate, I guess, your support of my words there. But that's what these streams are about, you know. It's trying to kind of get everybody hyped up and think about what could take place. It's such a fun show to predict. Just when he's not been here, so why give it to him? Yeah, I get what you mean. Again, it's his final year, so some people say he deserves it for that alone. But yeah, he's not really part of the story at the moment. His story is something different to what's going on in the WWE landscape, in my opinion. So yeah, I agree. I'd like to see it not be John Cena. I mean, him and Jey Uso being the final two in the Rumble, I was very stressed. I mean, I didn't really want Jey Uso to win it at that time either. But over John Cena, I definitely did. So yeah, it created that tension, you know, like I used to get back in 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, and every other year he was on top. But hey, it is where it is. I appreciate the hustle and the loyalty and I guess the respect. Right, let's move on to some of the other matches here, though. As I say, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn is quite an interesting one, just because you got to, again, imagine this is going to go to WrestleMania. So it might not even go that long. And you see the card is only 4 matches. Yes, chamber matches are quite long themselves, but we've got time to fill, I guess. So usually I'd go, this might even be a 5-minute thing where it's just broken apart. Maybe not if there's only 4 matches on the card. Gary says, I got an hour break so I could stay here for the stream. Get in. Nice one, Gary. Thanks for sticking around again. Anyone else watching and lurking in the background, drop your comments. Let us know what you think is going to happen at the Elimination Chamber as well. Let's move on to the tag team match between Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton. Yep, I did that the right way around there. I've been worried all week I'm going to mess those names up because they're so close, of course. Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. Oh, now I mess up Jax. Seriously? After getting Stratton and you get my point. The thing is, this isn't a match that's really exciting people. It's great to see Trish back. I enjoyed her run as a heel. I know, as we saw on the predictions earlier this week, Rob has got a few things to say, I'm told, about Trish coming back as a babyface. But that's the whole point for me. I think she might be turning the heel. I think she might be turning on Tiffany Stratton. See, I'm going to mess it up. And she might actually make it a 3 generations match. You know, you got Trish, Charlotte, Tiffany. I think that would be quite a cool triple threat. Look, the one-on-one is something I wanted to see anyway. And I am always a bit like about messing with Rumble winners matches at WrestleMania, making them triple threats and so on. But hey, where it makes sense, right? You could do something special with this one. So yeah, I got a feeling she's going to turn. Now, does that mean she turns after winning? Or does that mean she turns during a match and they therefore lose? I'm not sure. I mean, I went with that option that I think Nia and Candice are going to win. But it'll be interesting to see. And I'm looking forward to, on the build-up show again, having our friends from the wrestling media hopefully join us. And of course, more panelists from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel to let us know what they think of matches like this one and where it could lead us again going into WrestleMania. So I'll hold back on some of my thoughts there because I do want to kind of challenge the boys and see what they're thinking when it comes to this one here, because I've got some specific ideas as to how it could even go down. Trish turning on Tiffany. So I'll hold back on that one for now. Gary says, can you see Kevin Owens and Sami hugging it out at the end of the match, Scott? Not this time round, because again, I do think it's going to go to WrestleMania. Maybe at the end of that, because I think Kevin's an incredible heel, but he's fun as a babyface as well. He's a cool good guy. He's a cool bad guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if they want to bring him back to the good side soon, and that might be a good way to do it whenever this feud is over. For me personally, says Gary, I don't enjoy the women's division. I just feel like it's a lot of acting, not fun. And look, I think there are some great talent on the women's roster. I do feel like it's got a bit dry lately because we're seeing a lot of the same stuff. It'd be interesting to see how they potentially do shake it up leading into WrestleMania. We'll get into the women's chamber in a minute, which of course gives us a lot of opportunities to do that. And I do think there are some cool storylines coming out of it, and a lot of promise really coming from NXT as well. So let's get on to the women's chamber as well, as I take a quick sip of my tea. Lovely cover. Right. The women's chamber. Now, as I say, there are a lot of potential twists and turns or swerves on the way to WrestleMania here. And of course, the big one there, myself and Rob mentioned it on our predictions earlier this week, of course, is the Jade Cargill situation that seems looming over the right-hand side of that graphic with Naomi and Bianca Belair. Look, I've been saying for months now, since Cargill got taken out, that I think it should be, and it might even be revealed as Naomi did it, but then it turns out it was Bianca's idea and they're both in on it. And I do think we are close to finding out whether or not that is the case. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope that is what they do. I do think that'd be a fun way to do it, and I want Bianca to be annoyed at Naomi for spilling the beans, and therefore it creates a triple threat between the three of them. I think that'd be incredible, because I think Naomi deserves her part in this story as well. She shouldn't be brushed aside for the two of them to face off. But they could reveal it was Bianca. Well, I know she was in a ring at the time, but it was to do with Bianca, and Naomi had nothing to do with it, and she's the one offended, and she goes on Cargill's side, you know? And that's why she's been so adamant that it wasn't her and all this kind of stuff, because it wasn't, sort of thing. But that's kind of not really to do with the result of the match, in my opinion. I don't think either of those people are going to win this because of that story they've got going over there. So when it comes to the actual prediction for the winner, look, this is the one I feel kind of weak on, because on my predictions earlier this week, I really struggled to say who I thought would win, and I actually just went with Roxanne Perez. Now, in a cold light of day, I've started to think, are they really going to strap the rocket on her? Like I said, I don't know. I do think the women's division needs freshening up, and I know all of our predictions have focused on Rhea Ripley, but I think she's facing Io Sky soon, so Io could technically be champ, which does change things as well. Yeah, not sure about that one. Look, even looking at the graphic again, I do find it hard to give it to anyone else, like even Bayley, for example. I think that's a really tough one to go with, because she's not really like doing much in that story, right? She's been doing stuff in NXT. I just don't think there's a reason to put in the main event of WrestleMania. We had that last year. I don't think it was what people hoped it would be. As much as I think she did deserve that position and winning Rumble and stuff like that, I'm glad she did. But yeah, we just didn't get much beyond that, and I don't think they're going to do that again. It wasn't like it was so successful, you know. They're going to go for it once more. So I don't think it's going to be Bayley. Alexa Bliss is tied in again with this white six thing, you would imagine. And if she's, as I said in my original prediction, going after someone, you're going to think it'd probably be a heel and not a babyface alternative Rhea Ripley, when they're kind of alternative-y themselves, you know? It kind of feels like the thing that Rhea would just be like, oh, cool, I like your entrance, rather than I'm scared. You know, she's not in the Judgment Day anymore, where she could play that character a little bit more. Then the other option in that, of course, is Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan's just won the tag titles now. It doesn't mean she can't go after the singles title, but again, if it's Rhea Ripley, why would we get that again? Was it a Mania-worthy match and story? Yeah, of course it was, but it peaked way before Mania season, so we don't need it now. So yeah, I'm finding it really tough, man. Like, I want to know what you guys think over this weekend. I really want to dive into this and see what the other guys think as well on the channel, and again, hopefully friends of the wrestling media to join us. But this is one that I've really struggled with, and that's why I just went with Roxanne Perez, because I was like, at least it's fresh, at least it's new, you know. So yeah. Gary says the only person I used to enjoy was Charlotte Flair. Bianca just killed it. Stupid hair, used it too many times. Disadvantage of Naomi. She's short and annoying. She's short? What's her height got to do with it? Look, yeah, the Bianca thing. Obviously, they're using the hair as a weapon. They've used that a lot. I get what you're saying. I think she's someone whose character got quite stale until, ironically, the team with Jade Cargill and Naomi. I think that's really freshened her up. But now I'm ready for it to be heel. I mean, I was ready about 2 years ago, but her in NXT she was a great bad guy, essentially. And I'd love to see her, now that she's grown as a performer since then, see how she could really kind of hone those skills to the next level, really. Gary also said, for people watching, lads, drop your thoughts in the comments. That's it, Gary. Encourage those lurkers in the background to let us know what they think as well. Bayley is also sick, but for me, it's also a Cena thing. She's not done much. Yeah, I think Bayley's at the stage where I'd rather see her win like one of those background like the IC or the US title. But I'm not sure. Is that taken away from people at the same time? I do think giving it to people like Bailey, Natalia as well, will give credit to that title. Rather than it just be seen as someone like, oh, you can't get to the top, so we'll give you this. You know, it should be a stepping stone, but it also needs to be legitimized, I think, by legends, if you will. Cody Burris says, tomorrow night we're going to find out who attacked Jay. That's it, Cody. We will. I think, anyway, I think it'd be weird, though, within the match, right? Will she just, you know, because obviously she's quite a strong figure. Will she just come in and rip the door off, or will she do a Shawn Michaels and come up from the bottom? We've all seen how Shawn Michaels has liked to replay his gimmicks and storylines, including possibly in this one anyway, with the whole Triple H being revealed to, you know, be his attacker in 2002. I wouldn't be surprised if they went for another Shawn Michaels kind of memory here as well. Gary says, I don't know, mate, she just annoys me. But what's that got to do with her height? Question, Scott, do you stream as another platform? Yeah, we are also on Twitch. I see Cody's comment there came from Twitch. So here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling YouTube channel, but also the Rebellious Noise Twitch channel as well. But wherever you're tuning in, guys, we appreciate you. Whether you're live with me now on Friday night, or you're watching the replay stream on demand, or whether you're watching it as part of our build-up coverage on Saturday, we are very, very appreciative of you joining us. Cody says they're going to show the video of who did it. Yeah, I do wonder if they'll find new footage. And if that's the case, maybe it won't be at the chamber, you know, because then she's not going to come out mid-match and go, watch this footage, guys. Is she, you know, unless she attacks and does something. Everyone's like, what are you doing that for? And then after the match, or maybe on SmackDown or whatever, she says, hey, here's why I did it. And then they showed the clips. I'm not sure. Gary says, nice, lads. Get them questions in, sub and like. Appreciate it, Gary. Thank you so much. And again, everyone that's tuning in, appreciate you as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a card that I think even a week ago, I'm in an and about. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. As I say, Chamber always throws up these last minute swerves possibilities, and we move into new storylines, and you know, gets really exciting leading towards WrestleMania. But I do think the way things have gone with the last Raw, and of course, you know, The Rock showing up as well. We'll touch on him in just a moment. I do think it's created a new element of kind of anything can happen in a lot of these matches. Look, you can argue that the tag match doesn't matter, but if there's storyline progress in it, then it will matter. And I think that should be Trish turning. Look, is Trish just back to be a one and done in Toronto? Maybe, is a hometown. Gives a bit of rub to Tiffany before she heads into a big match at WrestleMania as well. So it could just simply be that. Maybe she's not going to turn heel, but I would personally like to see it. This match, again, I do think it's going to be a repeat at WrestleMania. If it's just a tool to get us there and create something like a Hell in a Cell, then I think that is worth it as well. And again, we get the two women's chamber matches. There's just so many storyline options that they can go with. With the women's one and the men's elimination chamber match as well. Cody thinks it is going to be Naomi. I'm not sure. I think if it is, I think it's going to be her and Bianca. I do. I really think that her and Bianca is the best option. I mean, how could they do it if just Bianca? Will they say she was in the ring, so she still would have had to have got someone else to do it? That's my thinking if Bianca's involved. Or unless she did it and Jade was laying there longer than they realized and she went to the ring and had her match and whatever else. That's the only other kind of thing that I can really think of here. As I say, though, The Rock is seemingly going to be a big part of this PLE as well. Heavily promoting it now, as well as the appearance of Travis Scott and the final farewell tour, really, for John Cena as well. They're the three things that WWE have been promoting the last kind of day or two, really, hyping up this event, which is quite interesting because it does tell us that something significant is going to happen with The Rock. Now, of course, going into this PLE, The Rock has said to Cody, I want your soul and the adrenaline in it, I guess. And also basically hinted that he wants him, what everyone's assuming to be his kind of corporate champion. Now, a heel Cody Rhodes is something I want to see. I don't think we're seeing it here, and I don't think it really makes sense here. There's still more to do in this kind of defiant babyface Cody Rhodes era, especially when you've got this big kind of authority figure going up against him. They've not really had that in a while, really. And I think The Rock is playing off of the rumors. I'll be honest. I don't think it's as kind of, oh my gosh, everybody behind the scenes is, oh no, The Rock, oh, people there. I think are probably loving the fact The Rock's there. And I do think that, yeah, maybe some things are done last minute and maybe things twisted in ways that they don't expect. But I just think, I don't know. I just think he's playing up to it. I do think WWE are going to play up to it. But what's going to happen here? Look, I think The Rock is going to want Cody to say, hey, yeah, I'll be your brother, or whatever he wants. And he's not gonna. And Cody's gonna have to feel The Rock's kind of might because of that. And The Rock's not gonna do it himself. And instead he's gonna handpick a champ or a challenger to become champ. And I think that will be Drew McIntyre. So going into my prediction again for that match, because of course I do feel like this storyline is intertwined with this. I think that's why Drew McIntyre makes the perfect sense to become The Rock's new corporate champ. I think he deserves it. I think it'll be great. There are hints already. We've seen The Rock give Drew a gift when he re-signed, and they uploaded that video. We've seen Drew really play into this kind of blurring of the lines between what's real and what's not, what's character, what's performance, and what's kind of genuine frustration and stuff like that. When he went on that podcast and freaked out and said, look, one person got in touch with me while I was away. Is that one person The Rock? Have they been building this for much longer than people realize? It'd be incredible if they were, because I said in my predictions earlier this week when I was talking myself into it that, but this wouldn't have been the plan. They've changed it. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe this has been the plan all along. Hey, maybe not. Maybe Drew McIntyre doesn't do it. Maybe someone else does. Maybe The Rock faces Cody at WrestleMania for the title. Maybe Cody becomes Rock's corporate champ. I don't know. But at the moment, that's what I'd like to see. And that's kind of where I'm leaning towards what I think we will see. Gary says Rock is such a legend. I'll support him no matter what. I think Cody will. Scott says, Gary, you're making sense. Changing your mind again. And Cody Burris says, who's going to save Zayn's career? Look, the match between Kevin Owens is pitched to be something that's going to be quite brutal, right? Unsanctioned. As I say, I do think it's going to lead to a bigger match, which is going to be where they have to sanction it and we'll have to confine you in a cell, and they'll probably escape the cell. But Kevin's out for revenge, right? After watching what happened, after feeling what happened to him as Sami Zayn watched at the Royal Rumble, right? So I don't think there's anyone going to come and help Sami. I think this is going to be something between the two of them. And it's just going to escalate, in my opinion, to WrestleMania itself. Now, later on, we are also, as I say, going to be enjoying, hopefully, the WWE's kickoff show. Of course, at the moment, you are watching the kickoff weekend kickoff stream, which is something we started doing a few months back. Of course, if you're a supporter of the channel, if you've subscribed for a while now, you'll know that we do our build-up shows over the weekends of big PLEs. But nowadays, we do a weekend kickoff show. We also, as much as we can really do watch-along experiences for the main kickoff show that WWE do the night before a PLE generally as well. And then the night of the PLE, we hit you with a live build-up show. So thank you very much for tuning in to this stream, and I hope to see you on those as well. But when we do get to that live kickoff show, it'd be interesting to see what matches are highlighted. It always is. I really enjoy them. They're only about an hour long, so come and join us. If you're watching in real time at the moment, it's in a few hours. You'll find a stream on this very channel. If you're watching on demand, hey, you might get to see the replay on this very channel. If you're watching on Saturday, stay tuned, because that's going to be part of this build-up long show as well. Look, I think we've got a big, exciting show on our hands with Elimination Chamber this weekend. I do think that The Rock is going to be a big player in leading into WrestleMania now. He's clearly fully committed. He's a big part of the promotion for this PLE, and you've got to imagine it's going to be a huge part of the WrestleMania coverage as well. But I'm all for it. As Gary said there, you know, big Rock fan. Got to support him. Yeah, there's room for the Rock to make a bad decision. But I think we only have to look at last year to really trust that they know what the fans want and are willing to give it to them when it makes sense. You know, the Cody Rhodes situation, again, how much of that was real? Who knows? But ultimately, we ended up with one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history. And if The Rock was as much as a kind of selfish and, you know, egotistical, you know, boss as people are claiming, then we wouldn't have got that last year. Simply put, that just would not happen. They would have pushed on through, as WWE have done in the past. Let's be honest, there were many times where they ignored what the fans wanted. They didn't do that last year. They gave us what we wanted. So I do think The Rock knows that is kind of the perception that people have of him. And that's why I think when he came back on SmackDown, he played into that. You know, he played into kind of the fans are going, oh, yeah, you made me loads of money in the box office. Cheers for that. I saw some quotes online saying he turned more than the Big Show in that one segment, you know, like he was babyface heel. Because, again, I personally think he's playing up to it. So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing what's going on. Gary says, will it be live for SmackDown? No, I won't be doing a live stream for SmackDown, Gary, but our friends over on Give Me a Whole Year, they always do live watch-alongs. I believe they'll probably be doing one for SmackDown. If they're not, go give them a subscribe anyway. They're good boys. And hopefully be joining us over the next few PLEs on our build-up shows as well. Gary says, we want Rocky. Christopher Leclerc's in the house again. I'm putting for Roxanne Perez tomorrow night. Look, I'm with you, Christopher. Look, I find the women's chamber match so hard to pick, and it's easier to just knock people out of this. Again, I don't. Naomi, Bianca involved Jade Cargill. No. Bayley doesn't make sense. No. Liv is a tag champ. No. Alexa Bliss, Bray Wyatt, Wyatt 6, I should say, because of her link to Bray Wyatt. So therefore, no. Now, Roxanne Perez, you could also say no because she ain't been there for long, and maybe they don't feel ready to put her in that kind of position. You know, putting her in the main title kind of scene is big anyway, let alone WrestleMania, technically a main event type match. So that is maybe a big ask. But at the same time, I think it's the lesser of all the reasons to not put someone in that spot out of all the ones I've just given there. Because again, there's a huge match going on, surely, between Cargill, Bianca, Naomi, one of the two, both of them, who knows. I guess, look, the other one is that I kind of brush aside there was Bayley, because it's not like I've gone, oh, Bayley's doing this big thing, so this makes no sense. But again, it's more just because I just don't see them doing it with Bayley. It just, like, who's she going to go after? Rhea Ripley, if she's still champ. They're both baby faces at the moment. Or Io, again, another baby face. Yeah, it's the same match we saw before. So why? So yeah, for me, I agree with you, mate. I think Roxanne Perez makes the most sense. Christopher Casper's in the house again. Good evening. I was speaking to someone yesterday about John Cena. If Cena don't win the Elimination Chamber, then maybe a different winner. So are you thinking it might be Cena than Casper? Look, I was saying earlier on the stream, the two I was going with going into this PLE was CM Punk, who we've barely spoke about, so I want to touch on him a bit as well, and John Cena. I don't think John Cena should, and I don't think John Cena will be winning the Elimination Chamber. I think he might even be there to sell The Rock screwing people over. You know, like, it's not that it will lead to Cena versus The Rock thrice in a lifetime, but I do think, let's say it is a Drew McIntyre. Cena set, like, being disappointed and collateral damage for The Rock as well will really sell the smug Drew McIntyre win and despicable actions for The Rock or whatever it may be, you know? So, yeah, I think Cena can even play a role in a match he's going to have nothing to do with, basically. Yeah, Christopher says, if Roxanne Perez wins and wins the Women's Championship, she will pass Randy Orton as the youngest world champion. Is that right? Wow. Is that right? I'm not that I don't believe you, but I want to check out exactly the age difference it would be. So Roxanne Perez is 23. Yeah, Randy Orton was 24, wasn't he? Right, and her birthday's in November. So Randy Orton won. Let's have a lovely Googling online, eh? I'm sure he was 24. Yeah, he was 24. So yeah, as long as she wins it by WrestleMania, that's a great call, Christopher. Great call. That's it. Yeah, 23. Gary's not familiar with Roxanne. Yeah, Roxanne's only just popped up on the main roster. So if you haven't really been watching the kind of weekly shows when you've just been catching the PLEs, you might have seen her at the Royal Rumble. Of course, she was in the Rumble this year and last year. But yeah, she's just been called up from NXT, been basically the main attraction or one of the main attractions, not just for the women's division, but NXT as a whole over the past I'd say 2+ years even. So yeah, her coming into the main roster is a big boost, I think, for a women's division. As I say, that was getting kind of stale, if we're honest. Casper saying, no, I don't think Cena should win. I wouldn't mind someone else. Are you getting WWE 2K25? All right, so you wouldn't mind someone, and you don't think it'll be Cena. Look, I'm the same as well. I don't think it'll be Cena. There's a part of me that's worried it'll be Cena, but no. WWE 2K25. I've got to be honest, Casper, I don't play the games anymore. I think the last 2K game I played was 15. That's a long time ago. No, it can't be. That's the last one. No, 17. I'm not sure. I haven't played them in a while. I really got sick of them, if I'm honest. They started to feel the same game every year. And then there was that really bad one, weren't there, where they basically took a year off because it was so bad, it seemed. I've heard since then it's good. I've heard these games are good again these days, but I don't get much time to game much myself anymore, unfortunately. Anyway, and I am interested now because it's been a few years since I played them, so it would be a massive jump for me. And again, my complaint was like 13, 14, 15 felt like the same game, and then now it wouldn't, would it? It'd be 10 years. I hope not. Anyway, I hope not. But look, I'd much rather stick on Here Comes the Pain or Shut Your Mouth or something like that, you know. So few more of these comments. Christopher says, Charlotte Flair says Roxanne Perez is the future. Huge claim, of course, coming from a big star like Charlotte, a future Hall of Famer in her own right. Gary says, too much work, mate. Scotty, don't play games. I wish, man. Look, I love playing games. I don't really get the time for it. I feel like I have to commit to play a game. And I don't know. It's just like a whole psychological thing. I don't feel like I can just pick up a game and stop playing. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Right. Christopher says, I will get WWE 2K5 when I get the money to get the Bloodline edition, but I'm broke. Christopher, hope your fortunes turn around soon, buddy. And hope you are able to get WWE 2K25 and, of course, the Bloodline edition. That'd be cool. I'd like to play as the Bloodline. That was something I used to enjoy about the WWE games is like the Bloodline have been around for a while, don't get me wrong. But like when a new character would come in or a new version of a character, like this version of Jey Uso. I did see, to be fair, his entrance for 2K25, a video of it the other day, and I did think, that's pretty cool. So yeah, that'd be fun to play as. Jey Uso, look, we haven't even mentioned Jey Uso. Of course, he's not on this card, and it doesn't really affect him because of the match that is a number one contendership match. I mean, he's a number one contender. This is for the other title, of course. But it does kind of give us an idea of the shape of WrestleMania, right? If you've got Jey Uso in a title match against Gunther, and we know that, then what do we get as a contrast? So what's the other example? Of course, Tiffany versus Charlotte, which we've already kind of touched on here. That will be represented somewhat, you'd imagine, on the Elimination Chamber card as well. Christopher says, I'm excited to see how Roxanne Perez does in her first Elimination Chamber match on Saturday in her career. Yeah, who was it? Didn't someone it weren't Roxanne Perez then, was it? Was it someone else that came in and did something like that last year? Or maybe I'm not. Let's have a look. It was in a women's chamber match last year. This is too much. I think it was Tiffany. I think, yeah, Tiffany was the big kind of newcomer last year. Yeah, it was. She blew everyone away. Wow, that was last year because it was in Australia, wasn't it? And Christopher, right on cue. There you go. You know what I meant. You know what I meant. Yeah, Tiffany Stratton. Gary says Scott and Gary really play Kingdom Conf Deliverance 2. That game has hours of play. See, I don't even know what that is, mate. I don't even. Man, I've fallen behind. Is that the one? Was that like a game? Oh, you said Kingdom Come. Yeah, I've just googled it. The guy on the sword. Yeah. See, I knew that. Actually, I did know that. I'm making myself sound like I'm really like I'm not a gamer and I hate and I'm old. I'm getting old, but anyway. Let's move back to the subject at hand, guys. Again, you are joining me live if you're with me on Friday night for the weekend kickoff stream. This is something we started doing over the past few months to get us all in the mood to the PLE. But if you've been here for the past few years, you know exactly what we do on PLE weekends. That's also hit you with the build-up show. So if you're watching live on Friday or if you're watching before Saturday evening, then make sure you subscribe and check out the link for the build-up show. That will be us basically taking you right the way up to Elimination Chamber itself. If you are watching this on Saturday night, part of the build-up stream, you might be thinking, hold on, what's he talking about? You might be watching a replay, essentially. The first few hours of our build-up show is a recap of our content throughout the week, and the later portion is our live section, again, heading right into PLE itself. And it's all about getting hyped up for the event, guys. Again, we've been doing it for the last few years on the night of the PLE, but now we've started to branch out our preview content as well with our weekend kickoff shows, which are joining me on at the moment. And also, as I say, the watch along for the kickoff. Now, again, if you're watching me in my time line at the moment, which is Friday night, then we are a few hours away from the watch along. So what I want to encourage you to do, of course, if you haven't already, subscribe, like the video and all that fun stuff, but check out the YouTube channel itself because the link will be going live for the watch along kickoff experience as well. Again, if you're watching this on demand, hey, it might already be up there for you, but the idea is to get us hyped up as well as those in attendance, because those kickoff shows look so fun. We want to be kind of enjoying it with you guys as well. So stay tuned for that as well. Let's get to a few more of these comments here. Casper, I get you about not playing the games anymore. You don't get time. I get that. I would be strange, but they could go down lines of John Cena failing, as in, oh, okay, as in what we were talking about earlier on with, yeah, like every time he tries to get into a big for the title, really, innit? You know, for WrestleMania, and then he has a WrestleMania moment with someone else that's not related to the title, and then all year he's chasing that belt. I do think that's what they should do. Christopher says, if Roxanne Perez does not win the Elimination Chamber, she will win Money in the Bank this year like Stratton did last year. That's a great call, actually, because Stratton really would have shaken things up in Perth. She didn't do it, but she was definitely ready by the time we got to Money in the Bank. So that's a great call. Gary says, mate, we're both getting older. Oh, no, I know it's not fun, is it? You know what it is? With age comes wisdom and all that good stuff, you know? Christopher says, 4 matches on Chamber. Yeah, it's a short card. I mean, it's a Triple H era staple now, right? A short card. 5 matches usually. When you get these big, what am I trying to say? Gimmick-based PLE, so Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber. It seems to be 4 match cards now. So yeah, very, very short on the matches. Christopher, great knowledge, says Gary, and great questions. Yeah, appreciate you, Christopher, as I do you, Gary, and Casper, and Cody, of course, in the comments as well. Anyone else lurking in the background, hey, thank you for watching. We don't discriminate. We're a big fan of everyone that supports us. Essentially, we're very, very grateful for that. As I say, though, we will be hitting you with a watch along for the kickoff show. I hope you're hyped up about it. I really, really enjoy these streams. In my timeline at the moment, we are about just over 3 hours away from the kickoff show that WWE are going to produce. So join us back here on this channel for that as well. But you've been watching the weekend kickoff, and I hope you've enjoyed our preview leading into the weekend itself. It's a big, big weekend in the WWE PLE calendar, and we're going to be doing more content throughout this weekend, of course. And then next month, man, Yeah, it's no sort of next. Yeah, it's the end. Months are weird at this time, right? 28 days in February, and PLE is going to be in 1st of March. Anyway, my point is, just over a month from now, about 6 weeks away, we're going to be doing it all again for WrestleMania. A few more comments here. Christopher says, "I'm a big fan of Bailey and Roxanne Perez." Lurkers get stuck in as far as the comments go. Hey, don't worry, Gary. We appreciate all of them. Casper says, I was reading something the other day about Becky Lynch. She might be done. Hope not, but fear that might be the case. Yeah, look, Becky is someone. Look, we all thought, I mean, a lot of us at least thought she'd be back for the Royal Rumble, right? Didn't happen. Really, really was a shame to not see her back. Again, someone that I think needed to freshen up, probably needed to go away for a bit. And it'll be exciting when she comes back. It's crazy, isn't it? Because none of us are going, oh, she's going to come back and cost someone at the Chamber or something like that. Not even thinking about it. So does that mean she's not going to be at WrestleMania? Like, that's a weird thought. Gary says, short month this month, Scott. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's always awkward when you get to. I mean, and then you have the crazy long January, right? Like the beginning of the year is just all over the place. Never mind the fact that WrestleMania is like 2-3 weeks late, it feels, this year, because obviously it's either March or April anyway. And if it's April, it ain't that far into it. Now it's something like what, the 19th and 20th or 18th and 19th or something like that. So yeah, long way off essentially for WrestleMania. I'm surprised they got rid of Fastlane, especially when you do have PLEs stretching out this far. If they had Elimination Chamber earlier in February, then Fastlane would have kind of made sense to slot back in essentially in March itself. But then you've also got Saturday night's main event. Of course, that's obviously not a PLE, but it is being kind of used as a tool really to kind of get people interested in the next PLE it would fill. So we had that, of course, leaning into Royal Rumble, and I believe there's a Saturday night main event just before WrestleMania. I think there is anyway, not 100% sure. I think there is. If there is, we'll cover it on this channel. Christopher says Black History Month, of course, referring to February. That's the case in the States, right? In the UK, we celebrate in October. But either way, happy Black History Month. We're getting to the end of it here, but happy Black History Month to those out there as well. Casper says Roman Reigns not in the chamber. Yeah, Roman Reigns. Yeah, like, is he gonna? Maybe he'll show up. Maybe. I saw reports that he's gonna be in Bologna for WWE's European tour before WrestleMania. They've also announced, of course, that John Cena is going to be over here in the UK on those shows as well. Hoping, guys, to be able to cover that tour itself as much as we can here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Again, if you've been here for a while, you knew, or you're new here, you might not realize, but essentially we do have the privilege every now and then of heading to WWE shows and covering them for our lovely subscribers as well. So we appreciate all of your support. If you haven't already, you can see some of the content we've done when the WWE been here in the past. We've got the honor and privilege to chat to a lot of WWE superstars in the past as well. Gary says, dude, are you going to WrestleMania? I really want to go. Yeah, not this year, Gary. I'd love to go, especially in Vegas. I've always wanted to see what Vegas is like. And, you know, the great thing about going WrestleMania in the States is you get a 2 birds, 1 stone situation where you get to go on holiday and see somewhere. So if they're in a good location, it's great. And Vegas is one of those. I've always wanted to go to Vegas, and WrestleMania would be a perfect excuse, essentially. But yeah, sadly not this year, buddy. I've had the privilege of going to WrestleMania 3 times now. Houston, 25. New York, New Jersey, 29. And the same place again for 35. I was supposed to go to 36, and then, well, no one went to 36 the day the world shut down. So that was a shame. And then when they moved it to be at Tampa in 37, things had changed, and I couldn't go, unfortunately. So, yeah, really itching to go to another WrestleMania again. Christopher says, I can see Roman Reigns costing Seth Rollins. That's a great point, actually. I was wondering if there's even a position for Roman to show up, and I was thinking it'd be related to the situation surrounding The Rock. But yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because what is Roman doing at WrestleMania? Like, CM Punk, again, who we haven't even talked about, surely a massive deal going into Mania as well. those three went out at the same time at the Rumble, didn't they? And it looked like it was leading to triple threat there. And maybe it will. Maybe we'll get back to that. But I've got a feeling that Punk's going to do something else. I've got a feeling he might go into a program with Logan Paul properly. Or Cena could be going in a program with Logan Paul. Again, this is the beauty of this period, leading towards WrestleMania as well. Gary said, that's what I'm saying. It was my mum's dream to go to LA. I just need some people to come with me. Yeah, LA's another one, man. 39, wasn't it? Was LA. Oh man, I really want to go to that one. Some friends of the channel, of course, Sporsy, Mr. Andrew Spores from Wrestling Royalty and WrestleSphere, and also the Give Me a Whole Year boys, Dom and Sam and the rest of the crew as well. Also, those from WrestleSphere as well. Went over to the States for WrestleMania 39, and it was, as much as I was happy for them, it hit me, man. I wish I was there. Christopher says, I never went to a WrestleMania. WrestleMania, again, it's so fun to go to. If you ever get the opportunity, guys, go. Or even, just when WWE come to town. It's always a great night out. WrestleMania is the granddaddy of them all, as they say, right? You want to go to WrestleMania, but even if you don't get to do that, if WWE come to your town and you can get tickets, then man, more power to you. It's a great show. Gary says, great shout there in response to Christopher's comments, of course, about Roman Reigns potentially screwing Seth Rollins. It would be quite interesting to see that, because that's kind of heelish move, right? Is Roman a babyface? Who knows? It kind of, right? It'd be interesting to see what kind of version of Roman Reigns we see when he does return, depending on who's facing at WrestleMania. I mentioned a moment ago as well what the experience is like going to a WWE show. If you want to know what the kind of current live event experience is like, myself and Rob did a stream a while back now talking about our experience at WWE, one of WWE's house shows, as they call them, at Wembley Arena a while back now. So if you haven't already, check that out on this very channel. It's not just build-up shows and previews and predictions that we do on this channel. We also go out in the field and investigate, basically, and talk about what the experience is like for fans, again, I know not everyone's able to get to WWE show, or is maybe thinking about going to WWE show and want to know what the experience is like, and what kind of show do you get when it's untelevised, a house show or a live event, again, as they call them. So check that out if you haven't already. Also, if you're into classic PLEs, guys, do want to encourage you to check out some of our classic streams on this channel as well. We've done watch-along experiences for shows like SummerSlam 2013. We've also done the same for shows like Survivor Series 2002, and of course that featured the first ever Elimination Chamber match. So if you want to know our thoughts on that, and if you're in the mood of re-watching Elimination Chamber matches, then hey, do it along with us here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. As I mentioned earlier on, though, we have had the incredible honor and privilege of being able to chat to WWE superstars in the past, including some featured on the Elimination Chamber card this weekend, the likes of Bianca Belair. We've had great conversations with her. Also had the honor of having a great conversation with Liv Morgan. A few times had some real fun chats with Mr. Damian Priest as well. And we've also had good conversations with the likes of LA Knight, and Bailey. So again, if you haven't already, check them out on this very channel. And as I say, we're hoping to be able to do the same when the WWE come to town next time round. Casper says, I keep hearing rumors Dean Ambrose, wouldn't mind him back, but people I've spoken to about Dean Ambrose, in WWE, but don't do anything different though. It's the same all the time. Look, he's been obviously heavily featured in AEW. I don't think he's going to be coming back to WWE anytime soon. I do think he will come back someday, even if it's just like a brief kind of one-off type thing. I mean, he's got to be in the Hall of Fame, right? So you'd imagine we'll get that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we do get him back in the WWE and what it'll look like. If it'll be like the old Dean Ambrose or a mixture between that and John Moxley as a character as well. Dude hitting me too. Hitting you too what? What did I say? I can't remember now. WWE came to Tallahassee, Florida 2 times. Is that where you're based, Christopher? Have you been to some WWE shows? Sky Blue should be back from injury soon. 2010 was the first Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. That's right. Of course, the first Elimination Chamber match, as I say, took place at Survivor Series in 2002. And then you also had At the time, it was No Way Out, and then they moved the chamber to No Way Out, and then they got rid of No Way Out as a pay-per-view, as it would have been known at the time. And yeah, it's been the Elimination Chamber ever since. Taking the dog, Scotty, you should do a watch along to Arsenal Bones of. Come on now, right? Yeah, Arsenal versus West Ham was not a match I was happy to have seen at the end of that. I'm not. Let's move on from that. All right. Dean come back. He's sick. Talking a dog. What? Big dog, Roman Reigns. Is that what we're talking about now? I'm getting confused. Casper says, I've been to WWE live once before, many years ago with a friend, Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, again, if you do get to go to WWE live show, you'll know just what it's like. It is really, again, a really fun experience. Those that are going to be there for the Elimination Chamber, I'm sure, are going to be hyped up as well, because the Canadian crowds are always great. Really looking forward to seeing what they're like for the PLE, but of course for the kickoff show as well. Those shows again are so fun. Looking forward to seeing how many wrestlers go off script with their promos on that one, and whether or not Michael Cole crowd surfs again. It'll be interesting to see. Christopher says we can see Bayley versus Roxanne Perez at WrestleMania 41. That's a good point, actually, because yeah, they've been in a feud, right? I don't know if they'd get a space on WrestleMania. Yes, 2 nights, but I'd see it more likely on Stand and Deliver. But with Roxanne spending more time, on the main roster, and Bayley officially being part of the main roster for many years, maybe it'd be a little bit out of place now. But I did feel like that could be the case. Maybe it will be. Who knows? Gary says, I'm getting 2 convos mixed up. I'm at work and watching. Okay, thanks, man. Lil Fettuccini says, if The Rock is the final boss, then who is the mid boss? Yeah, who is the mid boss? I don't want to say it's Triple H, but you know, the way they're putting it across on TV, it's making it seem that The Rock is really on top of things. He talks about, you know, he doesn't own the company like his TKO buddies, but he's calling the shots essentially. Now, as I say, we are here on the weekend kickoff stream, and I thank you everyone that's joined us here live in this timeline on Friday night. But if you're watching a replay of this, we still want to know your comments, guys. I still want to know what you think is going to happen at the Elimination Chamber. What match are you most looking forward to, and how do you think it will lead into a kind of twisty-turny road to WrestleMania? After this, though, as I say, we will have the watch-along for WWE's kickoff show, and then right up until the chamber kicks off on Saturday night, we'll be taking you right away there, essentially with our live build-up show. We'll get more members of the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling crew, and hopefully some friends from the wrestling media as well. Christopher says Bayley has never had a stand and deliver match before. Yeah, good point. When she left, it was before stand and deliver was even a thing, and it's their WrestleMania event now, right? They used to just name them Takeover after wherever they were and wherever the WrestleMania event was. Now they stand and deliver is kind of their WrestleMania. So it'd be interesting to see how they work on that card this year, because obviously the TNA partnership, TNA have got a big show themselves in Vegas that week. They've just announced that NXT is going to be having like a regular NXT show, as in like the Tuesday night shows they do on the Tuesday after WrestleMania as well. So will that be treated like a Raw after WrestleMania? Will it be the NXT after Stand and Deliver, and it starts to become a big thing? Maybe they sign new people and stuff like that. Be interesting to see. As far as the chamber goes, Christopher's got Bianca Belair and John Cena. Now, again, I've said a few times already how I think Bianca's going to head into this Jade Cargill situation. So I think she's got to stay away from the main title picture, in my opinion. But hey, maybe we've been double swerved, and she's lost the tag titles because she's now going to go after a singles title. Maybe that's the case. And maybe she does. And maybe it's at WrestleMania that Jade Cargill comes back and confronts her, or Naomi, or maybe both of them. John Cena, again, it could be John Cena. I just think it's going to make more sense with someone like Drew McIntyre. Casper says, I've got a couple of WWE programs that get sold outside the ground. I do. Mickey James. I like Mickey James. Yeah, Mickey James. Good to see her on, what's that show they're doing now? LFG. Always got room for Mickey James. Big fan of Mickey James. And all right, so that's bringing us pretty much to the end of the show, guys. As I say, we will be back, don't you worry, for our Elimination Chamber kickoff watch along. So if you haven't already, subscribe. The link will be on this very channel on YouTube. youtube.com/rnprowrestling/live is where you can find it. It will be up there very soon if it's not there already. And we'll be going live again to watch the kickoff show. Then again on Saturday, we'll also have our build-up show to the PLE itself. And then after the PLE is all done and dusted, we'll of course hit you with our instant reaction review as well. But thank you so much to everyone that's joined me here for this stream. Get to a few more comments here as well before we get out of here. Christopher says Bailey is 1-1 in Elimination Chamber matches. I think she's going to go 1-2 if I'm honest. I don't think she'll be winning this one. Gary says great questions, guys. I agree, Gary. Great questions from all you guys. Really appreciate all your comments as always. And Casper says what time tonight? So as I start wrapping up in this live timeline, it is 8:13 on Friday night. We are going to be back pretty much in 3 hours. Just 3 hours away, essentially. We'll go live right before the kickoff itself begins on WWE's channel. About 10-15 minutes before that, we'll be live and covering that in depth as well. Gary says, Scotty, please do a SmackDown watch along. Makes so much potential. Yeah, I can't, mate. I can't do a SmackDown watch along. But again, for shows like that, I do encourage you to check out the boys over on Gimme a Hole. Yeah, Christopher says, I don't see Roxanne or Bailey winning at the Elimination Chamber. It's such a tough one. Anyway, I was meant to go. You're holding me back, guys. You're holding me back, but we're having such a great conversation. I do appreciate it. Look, let's let this conversation continue in a few hours' time when I'm going to be back, as I say, for the watch along for the kickoff show. If you're going to watch the kickoff anyway, guys, watch it with us here. Let us be your kickoff show companion, and we'll talk about what we see on the show as it airs live, right? How about that? Again, let's continue this conversation essentially on that stream as well. Thank you very much for everyone that's tuned in. See you later, Christopher. Thank you so much to you for your comments, and again to everyone else that's been joining us throughout tonight's stream. If you haven't already, please subscribe. This has been your kickoff to the weekend of Elimination Chamber. We're going to be back with our watch along of the WWE's kickoff show, and then we're going to hit you with a build-up show that takes you all the way up to the Elimination Chamber PLE on Saturday night itself. But for now, I've been Scott. You've been watching the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and I'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.